Hey guys, what's up? This is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into another episode of the XO podcast. This week I had Carbin join me. He is a bass producer that has been around the game for quite some time, releases on almost every major label out there. Was super cool to finally get a chance to sit down with him. He has some major life changes underway, as well as figuring out the next chapter for Carbin and the project in itself. He's making a lot more wonkier, freeform bass stuff. Huge artists such as Excision has been playing out his new stuff religiously, so definitely keep an eye out for those next releases. He has so many years of knowledge, so I was super fortunate to have the opportunity to sit down and pick his brain. Don't forget, you get exclusive first looks to this podcast on my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane. Bloopers, exclusive content, DJ edits, one-on-one lessons. Go check that shit out. Without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into the XO podcast.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. Oh my God, I love it. It's fucking sick. It reminds me of when everyone was doing the Twitch sets when they had the green screen behind them and they were just kind of like going for it. Before that, I like had no idea how to stream or like do anything of the sorts, like downloading like OBS, Soundflower, all that shit. I was just like, damn, this is like a whole nother world. But thank you very much for coming on today. I greatly appreciate the patience. As you can see, I'm not a morning person. So when I try to do it, it's like an epic failure. So I greatly appreciate it. But how have you been, Mackenzie?
I've been good. Getting in the new house and doing everything has been stressful as hell, but you know, it's done almost. Well, it is done getting in, but now we still have to unpack and all this crap. So, yeah.
So, are you in Texas still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, we ended up moving to New Braunfels, which is like 45 minutes south of Austin, but it's in like a small town. It's kind of a cute little area. So.
That's cool. So it's like a suburb, kind of. Yeah. A little bit further than a suburb.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, a suburb of Austin would be like Kyle and Buda, or you're like, I don't know, 15 minutes out. But like if you come out all the way out to here, it's like definitely a different city, different rivers, different counties.
That's cool. Well, I mean, I imagine it must be nice to kind of like step away from the city a little bit and like have your own area and all of that stuff. And are you with roommates, girlfriend?
I'm with my fiance.
Oh shit. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. And what a step.
We're also expecting. I don't know if you know about that.
I did not know about that. Holy shit, dude. Congratulations.
And we got a puppy. We're just like all over the place right now.
Wow. Building the fam. That's what that is. You're building the fam. When are you guys expecting? How long, like how far along is she?
Right now, I think she's 17 weeks today.
Okay.
We're due February 10th.
Oh, little Valentine's Day baby. Like around that time. Well, that's so exciting. And tell me about the puppy. What kind of puppy did you get? My boyfriend and I just got a puppy.
We got a boxer.
What a cutie.
What's that? Oh, I can't think of what the name is of like their color. It's like brown and black, but like kind of like striped.
Is it like a brindle-y kind of?
Brindle.
Yeah. My mom has a brindle like pit lab. That's just beautiful coat. Oh, that's very cute. We got my boyfriend and I adopted like a husky collie mix, and she's just crazy. So I assume the boxer's maybe a little bit more chill, or is it still like total puppy energy all-time high?
She's doing better now.
That's good.
But boxers are known to be like very energetic.
Yeah. Lots of playtime.
Yeah. But we have a doggy door that was already installed in the house when we moved in, and so she's been potty training herself. She's going out there. She's so tiny she can barely get through it, but it's funny trying to see her go through it. But it's definitely been good having that.
That's exciting. And like from my point of view, it's kind of like we sit here every day almost alone, continuously working on music or working on other projects if we're not traveling. So having a companion like a puppy, like a dog, is you kind of feel like somebody's there. There's another form of energy there that sometimes just like lightens the mood up. Whenever I get frustrated, I'm like, okay, playtime with the dog, walk with the dog, run with the dog, clear your mind. But oh my gosh, those are a lot of life changes. That's very exciting though. I mean, I'm sure you're like I can't imagine going through that point. I'm sure at some point that will come, but congrats to you and your fiance as well. Super exciting. To everyone listening, this is Mackenzie, also known as Carbin, releases on literally every label around. You just had, I know you have a huge new ID circulating right now that Excision has just been rinsing the fuck out. I remember seeing videos of that and I was like, who the fuck is this? And then I saw Carbin. I was like, of course, it's fucking Carbin. But if you don't mind, just for anybody listening who isn't necessarily aware of you or your music, can you give us a brief introduction, just kind of who you are?
Yeah, I mean, musically or like as a
like
person?
like musically, like where you've released, like what kind of music you make, all that shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I put out a bunch of stuff on like Never Say Die. I'm known, I think, more for dubstep. I also do like house though, and I've done a house EP, self-released that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because I'm in a weird limbo spot. I'm not gonna lie. So it's kind of hard to talk about like dubstep and how I'm making dubstep so much because I'm not doing that as much now.
Okay.
And it's kind of something that I'm weaning off of in a sense. I'm trying to go more into the wonkier like direction because I feel like I as an artist have like kind of just grown to, try new things, and I feel like that's good for any artist really, just be creative. But yeah, basically I just really don't want to smash my face in the ground. You're like, headbanging and all that stuff. I'm really like into vibes right now, and not just pretty, but also, wonkier, like kind of danceable vibes. I don't know. So I'm kind of in a weird spot, but for what I'm known for is definitely dubstep and like some trap and some like more hype house stuff. And I don't know. But yeah.
Sick. No, I appreciate it. That was perfect. I'm kind of in this similar situation, even though I'm a lot more early on in my career than obviously you are. But I'm at this point where it's like, I really love dubstep and I like making it, but it's like not what, like my desire is not to like make rhythm. And it's like not to like make that like heavy shit. And I think that those kind of like subgenres of bass music are still like going strong, and there's incredibly innovative artists coming up and like pushing kind of those boundaries forward. But I am in this wave right now where like I'm kind of structuring the beginning of writing my songs more like singer songwriter, and then like adding the orchestration underneath it, and still like melodic bass music, or you could say like the future kind of rhythm wave. But I have talked to a lot of artists in the last, and I don't know if it's maybe like a spinoff from like COVID or people just trying new things, which is awesome because I personally think every artist should evolve. Like you can't just throw an artist in a fucking box, even though our industry does that all the time. And it's like really fucking hard to get people sometimes to like hop on board. It's cool to see a lot of artists be, willing to go in these different directions. You are probably the 10th person I've spoken to in like the last few months that have been saying how they're kind of like undergoing this change with their sound and with the way that they want to perceive their project. So, I mean, if you don't mind kind of like going into it, how did you kind of decide that you wanted to go in this new direction? Was it just something you've been wanting to do for a while? Is it something you really got into over COVID or?
I just kind of felt like I felt like I was in a box. I'm sitting in a box, like my fans want something and I'm creating it for them. Also, when you're touring, it's like, if you don't make music, you don't tour. And if you don't make the music that people want, from you, you don't tour. It's kind of harder to tour at least. But anyways, when I was touring a lot more, I've kind of slowed down a little bit recently just due to, COVID. I'm trying to having a pregnant fiance here and stuff, it's probably not good to bring COVID back to her. And
probably
so
not.
Kind of like taking a step back a little bit right now. But anyways, yeah, oh my God, big old train wreck right here.
I literally do that all the time. You have no idea. I'll literally just stare into the camera, or I'll stare at somebody and I'll be like, deer in the headlights look. I have no fucking clue what I was about to say.
Yeah, no. So anyways, basically I just, I don't know.
It's hard. It's a hard decision. It's like hard to elaborate when you decide to make that kind of decision, I feel like.
Yeah, I just feel like it's been like dubstep has been very difficult to be fresh in, judging, but there's a lot, and I made a tweet a while back, and it wasn't exactly accepted the greatest way. But I
don't think anything's accepted on Twitter. I'll just give you that right now.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I think that it's just really hard to be creative now, and it's I like that the color bass and the future rhythm and all that stuff is coming out. It's really cool, and it's kind of like a new it's almost like 2010 revamping. It's like we're going to go through this new cycle. It's like 2010 revamping, but 2021 version of that. So every decade is like melodic, and then it keeps going, and I feel like that's kind of what's in a sense happening, but it's more like the younger kids starting a new their new take on that. Honestly, I don't even know if some of these producers have even heard those old songs in 2010. A lot of them are super young, but they probably have. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of why I was wanting to take a different direction, just because I feel like dubstep is also extremely saturated right now. And it's a lot of competition, and I'm not trying to run from that. But I just, it's just kind of, I don't know. It's like, it's just so much extra, not work, but like just a lot that goes into it in order to try to be able to be creative in dubstep right now. That's all. And it's just I don't even know how to right now. And I can try and make new sounds, but the thing is, I'm kind of in this weird spot, like what sound hasn't been made, like like in dubstep, like back in 2012, like there was always new sounds coming out all the way up until now. And it's not even like really new sounds. It's more just like the same sounds being jumbled up into different melodic structures or beats in a sense. So I don't know. But anyways, so yeah, the wonkier stuff that I'm trying to do now, I just really, I feel like it's a good way for me to be able to make here. Am I choppy right now?
You're a little choppy, but it usually kicks over in Zoom where like when it renders you like all the way through. I was wondering if it was my Wi-Fi or if it's yours or if it was just like the rate at which it was. Okay, there you go. Look at that. Look at that. We made a transition into the bedroom. But
it's my graphics card was probably being a little wonky because that visual is a little intensive.
That is intense. It's very intense. But okay, so you were saying into the wonky music, like is it just like the vibes, or like you feel like you can be more creative and like try and do stuff that you're not just hearing over and over again?
I feel like if I like the things that I love about music is creating atmosphere, like everything that I always teach, like anybody in my lessons that I do, and like all this different stuff, like anytime I ever talk about it, it's all about atmosphere. And Space Laces is number one. So killer because he makes you feel like you're in a different world with every song. Every time a drop hits, every time anything happens, it's really cool. Now, that's awesome for dubstep too, and you can do that obviously, but I feel like with like the wonkier stuff, I can make people feel like they're in a jungle, and I can make people feel like, there's dinosaurs around, and you can do that with dubstep too. But like, I don't know. It's just like, I feel like I can really create my own world even easier. But also at the flip side of that is with wonkier stuff, prettier melodic stuff is also more accepted compared to me in the dubstep realm. With my style, if I was to put out a future bass track, everybody's gonna be like, what the hell are you doing? You know, it wouldn't make any sense. So like, that's why me kind of like taking this transition, I can get really high quality pop vocals or like just pretty vocals or whatever, and put them into like kind of a, you know, sustained, like elongated, like pretty basses, but it's still like dark and I'm still in a different atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And I obviously I could do that in dubstep too, but I just feel like it's more fun being able to do like slower tempos. Doesn't have to be 150 all the time. You know, I can, you know, play around a lot more in all the genres. I mean, they've, a lot of wonkier stuff's at like 170, also 100. Like nobody in dubstep plays 100 beats per minute. You know, like, and I've been playing a lot of that, but there's a lot of wonkier stuff with that, so it's really fun.
Yeah, definitely. And like when you were at Ritz the last time I saw you, you know, your set was like all over the place. Like you were going from BPM to BPM to BPM, where really traditionally in dubstep, you're really just going to be between like 140 and 155, maybe even 145 to like 150. And what I noticed now is that it's exactly like chord progressions writing in like a band. Like every chord progression has been written, but like one of two things that I see, especially with like bass music focusing on like that 150 dubstep, is that like one, you know, there are just tools that are around that didn't used to be around that can really just show you how to fucking do anything and sound like anybody, and like the presets and the sample packs, and like and then the flip side of that is that like I'm someone that at the end of the day, I care about the techniques and I care about the sound design, but it has to be listenable and it has to have like some sort of like song structure, composition. And the stuff that I'm hearing that's like quote unquote new is like hard for me to listen to more than once because it's so left field. And it's just, yeah. It's like some metallic, like bottle like being rammed into a car tire like over and over and over again. And like while that's awesome, like I don't have those sound design chops that like I wish I could have, but like it's just not for the general consumer unless they're really into that like dirty, like gritty stuff. Like you're not going to get people to hop on board with it. So I feel like it's in this weird position.
Yeah, that's also like the niche though. I mean, that they're trying to hit. So I mean, like that's cool, but you know, it's I don't know. It's very I kind of put some like dubstep into categories. There's like, obviously it probably sounds not very good, but there's some that's just like it's just noise, like it's just loud and it's just in your face, and that's all it is, other than a kick and snare, and that's it.
Looks like a brick wall. It's like this big, and it's like all the way down the song.
Yeah, and then there's like stuff that, you know, you can follow along. That's why I really liked like older kind of like bro step stuff, because they would have like little melodies like in the middle of it, and then it would go back into the hard stuff, and that was really cool. And you can sing that later. You know, like you're not. It's not like, you know, some tear out track where you're like, or like Convulsion where I'm like, you know, it's just not gonna. I'm not gonna sing that in my brain. You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've definitely made like noise tracks too, but those are what kind of kill it live, honestly. But
the bangers, like that's what people want. And like, that's what I noticed too, is I've had conversations with people like Chime and Asora, and those guys in my mind are like so incredible. And they've helped like pioneer exactly what you said, this kind of mutation of 2010 dubstep. And it's super fucking sick, but it's like, that's the kind of music that like I play and make maybe a little bit heavier. And it's really hard for a crowd to get on board with it sometimes because all they want is the fucking noise tracks and the bangers. But it's like, at what point do you step back and say, okay, well, like I understand that I may not have everybody on board with me, but the people who really fuck with me are going to really fuck with what I'm doing. So it's like weighing that out to like, am I going to please everyone because they all want a mosh pit and they all want a headbang? Or am I going to like please the people who are like down for the melodic shit and they really want that like beautiful color base, you know?
Right. And that's like, that's the kind of hard part about it. it really comes down to like having the right plan of attack, like management and like people pushing you to the right areas of that scene, that niche part of the scene, like really pushing you there so you can grab that fan base. I feel like that's the only way to really like, I don't know, like kind of be successful in whatever niche you're doing. You really just got to be pushed right into that. You got to be right there with those artists. You got to be, you know, doing everything in that same realm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I mean, like if I was trying to make, you know, color bass or something, or like future rhythm, whatever we call it nowadays, I don't even know.
Right.
If I was gonna do that, I mean, people would be like, "Oh, cool," but also it just wouldn't make sense. So like, I don't know. It's it might make more sense for me because I've actually done quite a bit of melodic stuff, but I don't know, in different ways. But I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely not as received at shows when you aren't already like super well known, like super well known.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like really, really well known. And it's like, you even look at people like who are kind of like the forefront of that little, because by now it's all just subgenres of bass music. There's like tens of 20s of subgenres. And I feel like you either decide to like appeal to that niche, whether it's like the Midas Nurko or the Chime Asora or the really heavy like Black Label Never Say Die like rhythm, or you choose like the excision route where like you're gonna make that typical dubstep. And it's like I sit here and I think, okay, what would be more beneficial to somebody coming up? Like, do you kind of swallow your pride and like make that in order to open more opportunities? Or do you kind of stick to what you want to do long term? Because that's what you're going to do long term. And at the end of the day, you may lose people.
And that's where I'm at right now because I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like, I love so many different types of music and I put out so many things. I mean, I have a drum and bass EP and the house EP. I have a whole house album still that I haven't released. I have all this wonky music. I probably have like 15, 16 tracks that are done. Like I have all this stuff, and I like making so much different music, and that's the thing. And so like, I don't know, I'm kind of in a weird spot. Like I'm kind of just like at this point, you know how Heckler, he just kind of took his own thing and just did it. Now that's cool. And I like, and he ran with it. And I feel like people are receiving that well.
Yes. So he's been on an uphill battle though. He has been on a battle because there are a lot of people who were like, not about it. And someone who I always use just as an example when I talk to people about like the whole genre box thing is like Getter with his Visceral Project. Like that's the epitome of what happens when, you know, someone goes like a 180. But it's like at the end of the day, like it's okay to have your fans not like your music, but it just sucks when they're so outwardly not about it. And I don't feel like that's happening to Heckler like it happened to Getter. Like I feel like people are at least like appreciating it. Like he has the support of like awesome labels and like back end industry people who are really liking what he's doing, because there's not a shit ton of people doing it. Like there's just not, but it's for a reason per se, because we're in this age where it's like, everyone, you either want tech house or you want dubstep. And like, that's it. Like I even watch crowds at like Seven Lions sets and I just don't feel like it is how it used to be when I like came into the scene.
But also maybe it's because we grew so much, you know, past that. When I first saw the scene, or when I first got into the scene, I saw Seven Lions and it was the most fucking insane show. I was like, holy crap, this guy that plays pretty stuff, but he also goes into psytrance and all the shit. It was so cool. And I saw him at the Gorge Amphitheater that day, and it was amazing. Fireworks and everything. And like, yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen a set since, but I mean, I'm guessing like I probably would appreciate it, and I would love it still, but like the fans, it's just like dubstep is the only thing that people want. I just don't get it.
I know, right? It's a battle because it's like, and I think I really do believe, like, obviously we know the back end where like not everyone does make their own music, but like, I really do believe that if you have honed the craft and skill to make dubstep, like you are one of the, like, it's a hard genre to master and a skill set to have. Like when I see people who produce dubstep, or like I have clients that I do work for, like under publishing, and you write, you know, whether you're writing pop or you're writing a beat, it's like, from a musical standpoint, it's different because you're actually taking into consideration like more music theory, like more song structure, how to actually write based on a template. But like the actual production of it and like the back end, like mixing down, mastering is so much easier than dealing with a dubstep track.
And it's totally different finding like different tones, especially with pop tracks. I mean, you're trying to make sure that, you know, your songs sound perfect in every system. When I make dubstep stuff or like EDM in general, I'm only making music for big systems. That's it. I mean, and it's very obvious in my mix down how that, you know, is coming across. But yeah, with like pop stuff, and like I've been trying to make hip hop. I have like, I don't know, 25 hip hop beats or something that I made just the other, like, I don't know, last year. And yeah, it's such a different world. But it's weird because like some of the hip hop beats, like I try to make them like, you know, as simple and as like kind of almost dull as, you know, a lot of people have them like in pop, like mainstream stuff. But then I also like add like an EDM influence to some of them, and they're like way harder. And I'm like, but that won't be accepted by hip hop artists. And that's like, even though it's a way harder beat and it's way cooler and the flow would be sick and like all that shit, nobody wants it. You know?
I hear it sometimes though in the really big hip hop artists. Like I hear that EDM influence, like when like Travis Scott did like his last album, and then like even some shit in Donda, like the producers he had with Donda were pretty like almost like
edgy,
minimal bass kind of edginess that was like these back ends. Like I use like Billie Eilish as a good example too, where they have these like full completed songs, but then they have like an interlude like pitched at the back end of it where they go into something completely left end. And it's like really dope because it reminds me of like our genre and like literally just like EDM music, kind of like going into whether it's like manipulating 808s or them just doing like a crazy like low end beat. But it's cool. I hope that, I don't know, now that we're back, I feel like everything that everybody said they wanted to see change is never gonna change. And we're just back to like the bangers, and we're back to the clubs, and we're back to those things. I mean, I personally don't think, I think we may have to, you're in Texas and I'm in Florida. So we're in those two states that nobody wants. But I don't think that we would ever go backwards again. But like, I definitely see like the whole vaccine thing and then like the 72-hour test, like being the standard in order for us to continue to like throw events and stuff. And
definitely.
Because I've seen cancellations in Texas, like the Freakazoid, and then like something else got canceled.
Hellfest.
Yeah. So like, is that because, in my mind, it's because you guys can't require vaccinations legally? So like the investors are pulling out, or like something on the back end, or like, what do you think the deal is there?
No, I think that I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think that it's literally the fact that we were in stage 5 for like a while. Yeah. I don't know where we're at now. Well, I mean, I say we, but I'm like so far away. But Austin's been hit constantly, like nonstop with stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. So I don't know, but also I see all the stories of my friends are all going out. The clubs are packed.
They're packed. You know, they're packed. They're packed everywhere. Yeah.
And nobody's like requiring anything to go into a club. They don't care, especially 6th Street. Nobody gives a shit. Everybody be out there fucking naked if they could.
Right? No, literally. I mean, that's the same thing how it is in Soho. It's like, I remember when we like really opened back up, it was like the month of like Sunset Music Festival, where I was just, cases were getting better. It was like before the variant, and everyone was just like fucking going crazy. And then like, this is when all of this kind of came about. And now no one's really, I mean, people are talking about it, don't get me wrong, but you know, in Florida, our hospitals are more full than they've ever been, like through lockdown, through everything. Like they're worse than they've ever been. And it's just like, it's going to be interesting. And at some point too, it's like, this is probably our new normal for a while. This is going to be what we have to work around and work with in order to keep doing stuff. And I talk to my agents or my management team, and they tell me that just the attendance on a whole from comparing numbers from like 2019 to now is just so down. It's like there's venues that still aren't open.
Right.
People aren't buying tickets. People aren't cool with the vaccine thing. They aren't cool with the not vaccine thing. So there's so many factors that's causing people to stay home, let alone on top of that, there's some people who are afraid that, they may lose their job again.
Right. Yeah. When I played Backwoods here last weekend, I think they were expecting to have, I think it was 10,000 people or something, and something like that. Anyways, that whole festival was like really undersold, like super undersold. It was like patchy in the main stage, which was crazy.
Crazy.
I mean, I don't know. And that festival normally does really, really well. And I'm definitely not bashing them or anything, but
I know them as being a really big festival, like in my mind, like a boutique festival, but like big, like 10K is like a good number to draw to like a niche EDM festival.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's yeah. And where was the festival at? What state?
Deep in the woods in Arkansas.
Oh, there we go. So in the middle of nowhere. So it's like in my mind, I go, okay, is it people don't want to travel? Is it people don't have the money to travel? Is it, it's just, it could be just the backlash. And that is what I was so scared of when we were going through this, is because I could almost like foresee it's not necessarily the problems we're going through now. It's the problems that everyone's going to go through when we open back up. Because now you look at markets where you would have, when I just played in Dallas, normally, even though it's a big city, you may have like one competing show, but you have 5 or 6 of the same genre in one night and within 100-mile range. And it's just everybody's like going at it. I see like fellow artists doing headline tours for the first time, and it's not going well because there's just so much competition, and there's all of these like pandemic promoters. I don't know. That's like the terminology that I like hear sometimes, but like they just weren't promoters before COVID and now they're promoters. So you have those guys thrown into the mix, and it's just like a shit show too, because all of the states are in like such different kind of policies as getting back to normal and what their normal is. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. And I'll be intrigued to see at the beginning or middle of 2022 where we're sitting at. But I definitely don't think the way that things are going now is going to change unless something big happens to have everyone either, have the variant go away, which isn't going to happen, or have everybody get the vaccine, which isn't going to happen.
Yeah. So. It's the thing is all the promoters that are the pandemic promoters like you're talking about, those are the people. So unless you're on the cusp of like already like big, or you're past that, you're already big. The good promoters are only going to like fuck with you if you're already big, because they know that they can maybe make $1 off you at that point. But the thing is, a lot of artists right now are playing for so many promoters, that are like super new, but they're the only ones who are willing to take the chance to pay to be able to get them in. So a lot of my offers that came in have been from people we have no idea who they are.
No idea.
And we're just like, and I mean, but if you're like right at 10, I mean, obviously all the festivals like Insomniac and like all these people are going to be hitting you up. And like also the really good, clubs, but also like, I mean, obviously when I played the Ritz, I mean, I know who they were, but I don't know. It's just, it's definitely a different world right now. Also, the pandemic's not going away. I mean, herd immunity is probably going to take at least 5 years. I can only imagine. And even at that point, I feel like the government's still probably going to push, all the vaccines, just like the flu. Thing. But
it's the same thing.
There's gonna be a point once we reach like actual herd immunity that it won't be required, kind of like the flu shot.
Yes,
I feel like that's kind of like how it's gonna get to at some point, but also,
which is where we want to be. But yeah, exactly. Who knows? And that's why it's I've tried when I did these during COVID. I felt like I only talked about COVID with artists because it was so detrimental to our industry. Like if we were still working, we were still doing whatever, I'd be maybe making some comments, but that would be it. But it's crazy because it's like as this mutates, it's getting stronger instead of weaker, which is the problematic kind of perspective of the long term where, we're already seeing 4 to 5 strains and now it's affecting kids more and kids are back in school. And, you can bring that home to your parents. And it's just, I couldn't imagine having, a kid in first grade right now. Like that would be insane to me to have to deal with that, especially in a state where, it's just kind of all up in the air. But yeah, it's just, I'm very happy to see things back. I really, at one point last year, when we got over the whole, oh, this is going to be a month, this is going to be 2 months, 3 months, and we made it kind of almost a year in with nothing. I'm obviously super happy. It's just, it's different. And I see a lot of people, as I'm still new, people who have been in the industry for a decade, they're just torn because it's so different. And on the back end of the industry side, it has been so detrimental to any financial stability or just anything in general.
And that's why so many sample packs are coming out from big artists, and because they're trying to find different ways to diversify their income and their brand and all kinds of different stuff. And yeah, that's the biggest thing right now, is definitely diversity in your income as any creative. Honestly, I mean, it's just I'm trying to start a couple different businesses. I'm trying to do all kinds of different stuff. I mean, it's not to get away from the scene, but to sustain during the scene's issues.
Yeah, no, you're being intelligent. I think if anyone comes out of this and thinks that they can just depend on touring to make the majority of their income now, and that's okay, because like it is the majority of artists' income. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're not going to make money off of fucking streams, especially in this industry. But, like, you should have a Patreon. You should be selling sample packs, be a teacher, be something to make sure you're going to be able to pay your bills. Because thankfully I was not in a great position, but I was in a good enough position to where I could get by, where I knew friends who they just went from having X amount of income to nothing for months and months and months. And you just can't, anything can happen. Like, we could wake up tomorrow and watch the news and some shit could go down and everything could close. So it's like, you have to be prepared. And if you have the skill set that you should have as a producer, like, you shouldn't have an issue being a freelance worker and having clients or having students or something like that. Was that some things that you did, kind of are continuing to do now? Like, are you teaching? Are you doing like mixed mastering? Like, what are the businesses you're trying to start?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm actually trying to start. I mean, I've been doing lessons and all kinds of different stuff. Mixing and mastering obviously is kind of something that everyone does for the most part, I feel like. But I mean, it's not always, it's kind of taboo. People don't really always like talk about it. But if people hit them up in DMs, then maybe they'll do it. But I've been trying to push it a little bit more, just because I actually really love helping people, and I really love helping people like hear my perspective. Well, with lessons at least, hear my perspective on how I would do things, and try to direct them in the direction that they want to be as an artist, and help form that with them. I've been doing some branding and stuff for artists as well, and
Awesome.
Just trying to figure stuff out with them, and help them be successful. But also, I mean, I'm actually really looking into creating a business, which I think I want to call it Tomorrow's Sound.
That's sick.
And it's like the number 2, and then my last name's Morrow, so tomorrow and then sound.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, so I was thinking about doing that and creating a website and getting that all going. But it would basically be a website where I can get a big like circle of artists all connected to be on this website, and basically they can, and fans or producers or whatever can pay for specific things like mixing, mastering, and like all this different stuff. But it'd be artist ran instead. And I don't really know if there's a ton of stuff like that. I know there's like Cymatics does that kind of stuff, but it's not really, and they're like engineers, but they're not really, like, you're not getting stuff done by artists that you like look up to, or whatever. But yeah, and I want to just have a bunch of people, have a platform in order to be able to, connect with artists and all this different stuff. So, anyways, that's definitely something I've been wanting to do. Moving has slowed that down, but I really plan on developing that as soon as possible. I think it'd be really cool. I also kind of, I'm trying to offer like ghost production even in that, because it's just a part of our scene. It is.
It really is.
But like
more people than you think, I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
It's the unspoken thing.
Yeah. You can pick though, like who, by having a circle of artists or like a team of artists on there, you can pick who you want to ghost produce that track. So that's
some crazy shit. That's
and so, or like who you want to master, who you like. And I'm trying to get like Monster Cat artists. I'm trying to get like the people who have like make really fucking pristine music, like people who have analog gear that they can run their mastering stuff through. Like that's what I'm trying to get at. And anyways, yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, but it's going to be a little bit of a job to get it all done, but it'll I think it'll be really cool, and it'll be a good little
it's supplemental income for these artists as well, which would be super sick. And like, it's not just like you're running services as like a bedroom producer. Like you're going to have these artists' name on it, and like having certain names on it is going to bring credibility alongside, whatever service they would want. So like, that's a huge upcharge in itself when you're going to get somebody who's so well established to mix and master your stuff or ghost produce your stuff. And it's also like, from that standpoint, it's like, that's the only reason why I send my tracks to get mastered, is because like I have friends who have analog gear that I don't have. And it's like, that's such a, like, that's such like a top notch, like that 10 extra % that you need to have, a sub or something sitting at like this pristine level that you're not going to get with digital gear most of the time.
Right. And you can make it sound great with digital, but yeah, even just having an Apollo, do you know what an Apollo is?
Yeah. The interface. Yeah.
Just having those UAD plugins, even that is like astronomical in difference compared to like stock plugins in softwares. And you can make those stock plugins sound good, but there's always like an underlying tone. I got really, really nerdy in 2019, and I ended up like really digging into the engineering aspect of everything. But so I spent like stupid amount of money on all the Apollo VSTs.
Oh shit! Okay.
Or the UAD plugins or whatever. But yeah, anyways, it's definitely a game changer. The funny thing is, I haven't even been using them for the last 20 tracks.
I feel like I have that conversation with so many people where like I like go through phases where it's like, whether it's like a new plugin or something like that, like you kind of have like this like honeymoon phase with like plugins where you use them, they're new, like you're totally about them, and then you'll go back to the ones that you were using for the last like 5 years or the last like 4 years, and like I can count on my two hands like the ones that like I know I'm going to use every fucking time. But I've heard phenomenal things about the UAD, not only the Apollo, but the UAD plugins. And I have right now a Scarlett 18i because I play, like I do instruments and shit. So it's like, it's good to have the 18 in, 18 out, but I have wanted to make
that's about the same price as the Apollo.
So, but I've been wanting to make the switch for a long time, but I'm just like, weighing it out. I'm like, okay, is that what you need? Like, out of everything, do you want to use that? So do you have the Apollo?
Yeah, so I do. But the thing is, the reason I stopped using it is because a lot of people don't have the things that I have. So when I want to send off project files to be, collaborated on, they can't even open it. Like they like,
if I'm
using them as key elements, like they can't even like use. Like if it's what makes it sound amazing. Like there's an SSL compressor in the UAD, and I fucking love it. It's amazing. But I always have to be connected to the Apollo in order to be able to have that active, because it's all run through that interface. So because that's the processing or whatever. that like that's what you're paying for with the Apollo is it's processing on its own. It's not processing on your computer. It has its own processor doing everything with just those plugins.
Okay.
So that's why it's so expensive. But the thing is, every time I go out to a show and I'm in a hotel room, and I want to work on this song, none of those fucking plugins load.
You can't freeze them? Like it doesn't work to freeze and maybe no. Oh.
It says we cannot load UAD plugins, so that's the problem. So that's why I avoid it.
Those aren't made for people like us. Then they're just I feel like you have to be almost just like strictly in a studio working, like a studio engineer where like this is my workstation. I just spent like $4,000 on this fucking PC and it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I did it so I could be able to travel anywhere and still work on my stuff. So that would be so annoying. Cause if you could freeze it, that'd be different. But if they don't even work, like you literally can't collab, you can't do anything. You'd have to maybe put everything to audio, but then at that point you can't work on it when he sends it back. Like it's stuck, it's done.
Right. So it's just, I don't know. It's really cool when I'm like working on pop vocals and just really, really good. Like, I want to make something super high quality and like, I'll do that and I'll only work on it here. Now that I'm not really touring as much and we have the baby on the way and, all this different stuff, like it's going to be nicer because I'll be home more.
Yeah.
But also that Apollo only works with my MacBook and I love my PC that I'm on right now. So like, it's a pain in the butt to get the Mac out. And then like do everything. Also, I love gaming. So otherwise I would buy one of those Mac desktops, the nice ones.
Yeah.
And I would just keep that here in the studio all the time. But the thing is I can't game on that. So I'm like, I have to use a laptop. That's it.
Yeah.
And that sucks bringing it here. So I don't know. It's
do they make Apollo for PC or is it only Mac?
They make one.
Okay.
Or they did make one, and I think it's not even being made or being produced.
Damn, dude.
I could be wrong, but I think they might. But anyways, yeah, and I was thinking about buying that one for this computer because, I mean, this computer can run anything I could ever want. My MacBook is it's like a $3,800 MacBook. It's not like a super high tier one.
My Mac sucked.
It does everything.
Yeah, I reached a point where I was like, okay, I'm very convinced unless I have like $6,000 or $7,000 to spend that this is just like an aesthetically pleasing college computer. And like, if you want to do anything creative, like anything with the graphics card, anything gaming wise, Adobe Premiere, fucking even producing, like I would sit there and watch the fucking Wheel of Death for like 25 minutes and just wait for a clip to move. And it's just like so bad. And now with this, I'm just like, yeah, I can get everything done. I feel like I've like gained hours back in my life because I can just work so quickly. I'm like so pissed at myself that I did not hop on the PC game. And like my students now, like if they're like in the middle of computers, I'm like PC, like just do it. And they're like, oh, it's ugly. Like it's whatever. I'm like, no, like if you need cause they don't understand like the specs on the back end of it. And at one point when you get to a certain level of production, I feel like your like general typical Mac is just not going to be able to handle the things like the tools you're going to need to process things or mix and master.
Right. Yeah. And I've made EPs like recently. I've been making EPs all in one project file. So it's like 400 tracks.
Okay.
Now,
holy shit.
I couldn't do that on the Mac. I could do that on the PC and that's what I'm doing it on. So like, and I can't even use the Apollo for that. So that's like, I mean, I just have a really crappy Focusrite 2i2. Like that's just for my gaming. I basically just get my mic to work.
Yeah. And that's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I need the higher processing power if I want to do something like that. And I love that because I love making like free flowing EPs, ones that like the song goes into the next and keeps going. That's what I really enjoy. And because I love that Nero and Knife Party did that a lot. Back when and
dude, I'm literally about to I don't know why I've never thought about that because I just made like a 2-sided kind of thing that we're gonna release like side A, side B thing because it's just 2 singles and I just should have put them in the same fucking project. Cause I spent so long, like they're in the same key and everything, but like getting it to be timed like correctly. But it's like, that's just such a good idea. I had no idea Nero and Knife Party did that, was just like one after the other after the other.
Yeah. And the cool thing about it is too, I mean, you know how every track just has a slightly different tone when you produce it, you know? You can use the same subs from another song and put it in, and like everything will just like sound like the whole EP will sound super cohesive.
Are you doing any tempo changes, or is it all the same tempo if you're going to do it like that?
You can do tempo changes.
Yeah. I guess you just automated on the master. I would just wonder if that would get like a little tricky, but probably not.
No, you just got to make sure some of your, like when you're making that transition, you got to make sure that some of your stuff is like Complex Pro. Or
Complex Pro, I was about to say, or it sounds like a chipmunk. Sounds like it's like when I developed what Complex Pro was, like whatever 4 or 5 years ago, I was just like, this is the magic button. This is like, this is it. And but that's cool. And you said you teach too, so you have like some students who, you know, you help develop. Is it kind of just like basic like production lessons, or are you like working kind of on a mentorship level with some kids?
Half and half.
Okay.
Some people don't know anything about music at all, and I'm like helping them with like even creating a track, you know, like, and then some people, you know, they actually make really good music, but they just want to get to that next level and they don't understand like how to get their quality just slightly higher. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of almost more enjoyable for me because I get to like really nerd out with somebody, you know, but like it's a little bit more difficult trying to like teach somebody from the ground up, but it definitely, it's good.
Yeah, definitely. It's rewarding. I feel like teaching is cool. Teaching is cool when you have like people who are, I think, passionate about it and they understand the work that it will take to get them from like point A to point B. But sometimes I feel like from an outside perspective, people don't understand how much work it really takes to become good at a craft like this, or any craft, like anything that's like good and like anything that's like longevity wise going to help you get somewhere. It's not easy to master. It's going to take, you know, thousands of hours in any kind of like path that you choose. But sometimes I just feel like people think it's going to happen like this. And it's like, no, like the one time that we meet a week, like that's like a grounding point. Like you have to be working on your own, like doing the techniques, like writing, doing whatever. Like there's so many just in the realm of production, like not even like the puzzle of being an artist, which is a lot more now than just the music, unfortunately. You know, it's just part of the job. But, you know, just in production, it's like there's just so many things you can be doing, even to just get your like skill set up. Like when I have people who are super frustrated, I'm like, dude, go in the DAW and just make edits, like make things for you to understand how this works, how the back end of Ableton works, how to automate, how to do this shit, because it's just whatever you're doing in that DAW or sound design, whatever, it's just going to help you. You're all putting in the hours towards the end goal. And then, you know, you can start thinking about all of the other shit that you kind of have to master, which is like the branding and the social media and like all of that crazy stuff.
That shit sucks. I like brand. I don't even have branding because, I mean, really, but like, I don't know. Social media is the worst, bro.
Social media sucks. And I feel like we were just in this time too over COVID where everyone was just so mad at the world. And the only place they felt like they could take it out on was social media. And like Twitter. That was, specifically Twitter. I know you and Twitter have a love-hate relationship. It's I don't know. People just are interesting, I guess.
Well, it's okay that I have a love-hate relationship with Twitter because, well, did you see what happened to my Twitter?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So explain to everyone listening what happened and tell me if you know anything that I don't, because I would freak the fuck out, dude. I would be done.
Well, that account, I felt like, okay, I'll own up to it. I've said some bullshit. All right. I've the thing is, I always have good intentions, but the thing is, my wording is so fucked most of the time. So I just need to stay off of Twitter. But anyways, so I've done like Instagram, like influencer like payment things, like
Okay.
like I'll do like they'll give me something and they'll pay me for it and I'll post about it. I've done that before, right?
Yeah.
Now, some guy with a verified check mark and everything, he had like 8,000 followers or something, hit me up and was like, yo, we'd love to do, a sponsored post for you. We'll give you like $500 and I'll send you 3 pairs of Nike's kicks. And I was like, okay, sick. I mean, whatever. That's fucking easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I just had to post about him. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. We were going back and forth for a while. And then he was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'll get these sent to you. Send me the address and everything. And then so I did it. And then he's like, okay, can you set up go on to our website and go set up your like account with our influencer side of everything.
Oh,
okay.
no.
Like, okay, so I set up everything, and then I logged in. There was like options to like log in, like Google, Twitter, Facebook. It looked really fucking professional. It was really well done. I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, I really thought it was okay. So I went up to set up that thing through the portal or whatever, and hit Twitter, logged in, yada yada yada. I was like, okay, cool. And then 5 seconds later, I get emails saying your password has changed, your email has changed on Twitter, and I never had access to it ever again.
Oh my God. And did they ever? But they've never posted, right?
Yeah, they have. They're saying check DMs to like fucking a fuck ton of people, and they're messaging other artists trying to do the same thing from my account. They're like,
no.
It's been a fucking clusterfuck, and I have had probably like 500 people report that account.
I reported it when I saw it was like compromised. Why? Like, do you think they're in with Twitter? Like, what? Like, how has it not been taken care of? Because I feel like when any of that shit happens on Instagram, they're like down like that. Like, they're like all about it. And I understand it's not. Facebook doesn't own Twitter, right? Twitter's like its own entity where Facebook owns Instagram.
Microsoft owns Facebook and Instagram and like all that shit, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe, no, wait. Maybe it's not Microsoft. What am I thinking of?
I don't know.
But Twitter is, I'm pretty sure it's
like it's an individual thing. So I wonder if like maybe that has something to do with like the lack of customer service, I guess. But it's just like crazy how nobody dealt with it.
Nobody has hit me up. I have filed so many claims. I've had so many friends file claims, other artists file claims, and for me, and not a single person has had an email back. I haven't had an email back. Absolutely nothing has been done, and I just lost 12,000 followers.
That's so weird. It's like,
and now it just looks like I'm dormant on that account because I'm not posting ever. But I have a new account, which instead of being Carbin Official, I put it as Official Carbin. So, yeah. I don't know. And that account, yeah, I mean, it doesn't have the following, that's for sure. But also, I'm not really posting a ton. I've just been too busy. But
yeah,
I feel like once I post, that once we release the that Cold Case track and like do a bunch of different stuff, it'll probably get some more traction through that account. But
for sure.
It's just ridiculous.
It would be such a bitch. And it's so scary. It's so scary how easy it is for that shit to happen without you being like falling for like the Nigerian prince scam. You know what I'm saying? Like if you actually are being like realistic, looking at the situation realistically, there are just some people out there that like it's their sole job for this shit to happen. And like somehow, I don't know if it's data mining, I don't know if it's back end other stuff, but it terrifies me to think like one day, like your shit could be hacked. And like it unfortunately has a lot to do with our job. Like it is part of our job. So if you lose that demographic that had your following on there on like a huge account, it's problematic. It's not great.
Right. And yeah, I don't know. It's a shit show. I really just wish that You know what they're probably going to do? They're probably going to sell my account for $25. It's probably what's really going to happen. And I mean, I don't know. It's such a joke. I'm so pissed about it.
It's such a joke too. And it's like worse things could have happened. Don't get me wrong. Like there could have been some other shit, but it's just annoying. And like there should just be more security than somebody from an alternative location, because I don't know the back end of coding. I don't know if it has anything to even do with that, but there has to really be some back door for you to sign in and create an account somewhere. And then all of a sudden they have access. That's it. And yeah,
you know what's crazy is there's some other artists that had their accounts hacked, and all they did was hit SoundCloud links from people. So just throwing that out there.
God.
So I'm like super scared about even opening anything now, and sorry to anybody listening about if I don't open your shit, because I've already been fucked.
Yeah.
Just make sure you set up the 2-factor
Authentication. Say that 5 times fast. But yeah, no, it's definitely that 2-factor step is the way to go for like the future. Like whenever like I sign into any of my banks, I get like a text, or I sign into whatever, I get a text, because you just never know. And I always was just so baffled when I realized that there are just people who wake up every day trying to get into people's accounts and trying to fucking, wire fucking money and do other shit.
I'm just glad I didn't log in through Google on that, because that they would have had access to all everything. My password chains, all my card info. They would have had everything.
Yeah.
Not throwing that out there. Nobody heard that, but
but
you know what I mean? Like anything you save, anything you do, like any account that is linked to Google, I would have been so fucked. Like actually fucked.
Oh so, my God.
They could have hacked my emails, all my emails. I have like, I don't know, 9. Like it would have been a major clusterfuck. But thank God it didn't happen. So
that's just, it's a whirlwind, but like, thankfully it was only Twitter and it didn't have to do with like any of like your other fucking accounts, and you'll get the following back. And you said that you're releasing music soon. Yes. Kind of soon. Fall.
I don't have a date for you right now.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm having so many issues with labels.
Okay.
Saying they want something and then never responding to me for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like personally hitting me up and then not coming through with it. I don't know. It's a really weird vibe. I'm
where are you at with like the label versus independent release? Like, where are you at with that?
The money with independent is fucking sick. Like if I can get, even if I'm just getting 30 to, 100,000 plays, somewhere like that, on all my platforms with releasing independent, like fucking cool, because I know that if I put it through DistroKid, that's almost like, I don't know, that's a decent amount of money. It's like $1,000 or something like that after Spotify and SoundCloud and everything being connected. Mm-hmm. That's a good, I think Amazon's here. Yeah. But that's a good little thing, a good little chunk of change, which you will never ever get with a label.
No,
I can't tell you how many times I have put out music with hundreds of thousands of plays, millions of plays, and with a label, and I haven't seen a damn dime, and it's just fucking ridiculous. And it's
almost fucked. That's fucked.
I'm gonna be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist here, which is probably not good, but
that's fine.
I almost think that a lot of these labels purposely prey on people and fuck them over, and then never send them records of how much money was really, generated from all of that, and then they just pocket it and say, oh, here's your $100 statement that you got from having a track with 1 million plays. Like it's pretty fucked, because if you go on NCS, do you know what NCS is? No copyright sound?
Is that like BMI, or is that
no.
totally okay? No, explain that to me.
It's like a YouTube label.
Okay.
It's like they do like gaming music for the most part, but their following is fucking huge.
It's a big YouTube channel, right? I've seen the NCS logo. Okay, yeah.
Like if you put out a track with them, you get like 1.5 million plays in a week. It's insane.
Wow.
But they basically they have like a payment portal where like, you know, you can just they constantly pay you out for like what you need or whatever, and it's and that's how it should be done, I think. And but you know, you'll see more money from that than you ever will from most labels. I mean, with Boss, I barely saw any money,
which is
but
crazy.
Also we well, they did a bunch of stuff on the back end, which wasn't exactly talked about to me, but they made like the skateboard. That's where my money went. They made and they made all this merch based off of it, and that's why we didn't make any money. They made all this stuff for branding, but each sale of that goes to the label. It doesn't even go to us. So I mean, we just weren't even like, where's our stream money, you know? But anyways, I'm not going to complain too much about that. Sorry, Jaws. But anyways, yeah.
No. But no, it's that. But like, these are the things that I would like, even though they're not like great conversations and they're not like happy conversations, like these are the things that I kind of want people like you to talk about sometimes, because I really think there is an ongoing issue with one. I definitely agree with, first off, a label is a great way if you're an up and comer to get people to hear you and get new fan bases and get all of that. Secondly, a lot of labels, especially a few in specific that I will not name, are really preying on up and comers who have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And they have absolutely no business sense. They don't understand that this is a business for the label. While they're giving you the opportunity, that's wonderful, but you should be thinking in your best interest sometimes and understanding the way out of, okay, I'm going to give this up, but I'm going to get this exposure. But at the end of the day, you know, you still should be aiming for something, and you shouldn't just be like, hey, because that is a reality too, where like I sit in the seat too. And it's like, I have a few songs at like 100,000 plays now. And, you know, I've never seen a dime. I've never seen anything.
Yeah. And the best thing to do is monetize on SoundCloud too. I mean, self-release at least, but that I mean, I get paid out monthly from that, and that's cool. That's chill.
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy.
No.
It's nothing crazy, but it's you know, it's definitely something, you know. I mean,
well, it all adds up, you know.
Yeah.
It all adds up, but it's important too, because I think there's like this line between people being super stoked that like they're potentially, you know, developing their career, or they're living their career as like their passion. And like a lot of people don't get to do that. And like within that, in my mind, it's like, okay, you would never clock in for a shift and then go, oh, I wasn't paid. Like, that's okay. Like it's okay because I loved it. But here you get that. And I mean, it goes all the way up the chain. I mean, there's very few places in Florida you can go as a regional and actually get paid and not have to fight for your money. And I think that's the same with, you know, I think that's the same with everywhere. And it's just something that like I wish it would change, but it's just part of this industry. But that's why it's so important that when, as an artist, when you get to the point of having a team, that you have like a good team, because that is like such a make or break point. I don't know. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Team wise, yeah. I mean, I think that it's really good to have, but at the same time, when your management's taking 20% and your agency is taking 10%, and then, you know, you have all these other expenses that a lot of the time management does for you, like saying like ads and, you know, for like shows and stuff. Obviously that's a little further in the game, but like management is really good to have develop your brand. They having a different perspective on it, kind of the outside in, instead of being, you know, the creative. You can kind of bounce off each other, your ideas and stuff, and that's really good. And they also have good connections, you know, and But the thing is, I mean, I have had probably 6 management companies. I am very far away from management now.
Yeah.
What they're doing is nothing that I can't do. I know everybody in the scene. Like I mean, yes, I don't know exactly the back end people. Like, I don't know a ton of managers. I do know a ton of managers, but I don't know like a ton of like, I don't know, agents and stuff like that. That are people that I'd be, or like promoters, different things that like my management might know and might be talking to and being like, even though they don't book the shows, they might be like, hey, like, have you been seeing like what Carbin's been doing or whatever, like they have those conversations, consistently with their friends and their peers, which is typically what that is. But I don't know. It's definitely good to have have like a management, and it definitely, if anything, like I have an agent. That's what I like. Like an agent is cool. It only takes 10%. And sorry, I'm a penny pincher with this shit, but
no, but you have to be. People don't get it that like you don't make, like it's so hard to make money doing this. Like it is. Yeah. It's you have to have another source of income for financial stability.
Right. And when 20 more % of that's getting taken away constantly, it's not fun. So an agent is cool to have. If you can get an agent, cool. Like that's the thing that will expand you into making more money, as long as you are making music that people are receiving well, and if you can have connections with people. Or the number one thing, you don't even need a team behind you. What you need, yes, you need an agent, but other than that, you don't need anybody else other than maybe a graphic designer, or like a videographer maybe for your shows if you play them. But like, you don't need anybody else other than what was I saying? Other than
agent, maybe.
Well, yes, agent, but shit.
Graphic designer, videographer. Who else?
Oh my god, I'm so lost. No, it was something else. It was whatever. Anyways, you just don't remember. You tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, what you need? This is what I was gonna say. You need artists. You need connections with artists, even if it's the same size artist as you. Even if it's yada yada, people who have released on different things, and make good relationships with them and hang out with them and like become friends with them. Not for, I mean, obviously things develop out of that a lot of time, but make friendships with them, be cool with them, communicate with all these peers, because that has done more for me than anything else. Like either collabs or whatever. If you do a collaboration and you're on, and then you're on an email thread with, oh hey, that track got picked up by Monster Cat or by all these people, whoever it is, you now have those emails to those companies. You have the emails to the A&R, you have the emails to all this shit. That's the way. And then next time you want to push something out, and you want to pitch a track to a label, those emails you send them to, like, or sometimes artists will, if they're already signed, like say NSD or something, they're like signed very like exclusively to NSD. They'll be like, hey, like, I can connect you with NSD. This track is sick. Why don't you throw it to them? And like that is the stuff that is more beneficial than anything. And not to mention, that's how you learn a lot. You connect with other people that are doing the same thing but in different ways, and you can learn more about music. You can learn more about social media. You can learn more about A&Rs, everything, all this label stuff. Like that is the way to succeed.
Yeah.
Without a team.
Yes.
So, because otherwise your management is basically
doing all that for you. They should be.
Which I don't.
No. I always said like management is really good for developmental. Like in my personal situation, my management has contacts with labels that like I wouldn't have. And like, that's my beneficial point where, I'm sure I could get it to them, but would it get in the right hands of maybe somebody that would actually take the time to listen, would actually be like, oh, X, Y, and Z. And then exactly what you said earlier, it's like if you're going for a niche subgenre in bass music, you should be around the other people who, you know, you're producing like. So it's like on like the management roster that I'm with, it's like it's Trivecta, is Chime, is Asora, is Skybreak. So it's like it's all of these people in that pocket where when my management sends something, they know what kind of music they're going to get because they know the roster that they have. And like that's where I find it beneficial for the point that I'm in continuously developing Lizzy Jane, because it's like now that I'm done with the residency, it's like I'm in this early kind of weird transitional phase where, you know, now you're playing shows out of state and now you're doing X, Y, and Z. And it's just a different, you know, chapter. And it's good to have the help. But I always say too that I waited a really long time before I had a manager, because I just think that your manager should be able to do something for you that you can't do for yourself. And you should also be knowledgeable on what all of these positions are supposed to do, because more times than not, I just see artists who have like no clue what their management or their agent is doing. And like, they may not have a good manager and they may not have somebody who's highly respected and like highly kind of like credible. And it could be hurting you more than it's helping you. And you should just be on your own. So I feel like every situation's different, I guess. But ideally, I feel like if you stay in this genre, once you reach a certain point, like you should be able to operate on your own, unless you're at this like huge kind of level where you need somebody helping handle your shit.
Yeah, if you have too much going on, then yeah, you got to just like be hands free and just let him
bite the bullet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know. It's definitely good to have management, but I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Not again. Not for a while. Not unless I know it's gonna be like extremely beneficial for me. Because as of right now, I'm okay with, you know. The thing is, management change a lot of the time. What they do, or management companies, a lot of the time what they do is like they help you with like repost chains and like playlisting for Spotify and stuff like that. And that's really good to meet, you know, to reach new fans. But like, and yes, as good as it is, you know, get 200,000 plays on something or, you know, whatever, I'm totally fine with just self-releasing. I got all the access to my own chains. Like I know everything, like everybody anyways, like my manager's going to hit. So, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't even know why I need them.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. But then you don't. Like, if that's the position you're in, then you don't need them. And it's like you've kind of done the groundwork where you're in that position where you can choose. And sometimes I think a lot of people are just kind of lost, or they just like operate in their own stance where you kind of wear multiple hats already by like being a teacher, by doing the mixing, mastering. So it's not out of like the mental capacity or like out of your realistic approach to what you do every day to also handle what a manager would handle, because you have all of your shit established, which is like different than a position that would be in if you were like a new person or a new up and comer when you don't know anybody. In that point, it would be, you know, beneficial. But when you were like starting, before you did stuff with Never Say Die, like, did you always kind of aspire to make bass music, or like how did you kind of like work your way into the scene to find your first big label?
Actually, originally I was part of the CEDM community. Do you know what that is?
Okay. No.
The Christian EDM community.
Okay.
I grew up religious, and I still am. But anyways, and that scene was really small, and I knew this guy Matthew Parker, who was actually, he's making like pop stuff. He's actually like on. Do you know what K-Love is? It's like a big like Christian radio station.
Okay.
He like does really well for himself. He's on some good shit right now. But
that's awesome.
He wasn't like that before. But yeah. So anyways, when I first met him, he kind of like he was kind of a dick to me.
Yeah.
Like because I would ask for like, you know, help or, you know, criticism on my tracks, and he would be like, "This sucks." And
this is piece of shit. Yeah.
And that's good though. That's a great thing to have. If you definitely have to be open to criticism, especially starting out. But constructive criticism.
Yes.
That is. But anyways, yeah, and now I'm really, really blunt. I purposely am very, very blunt with people. I do it in a nice way ish, but I, you gotta be very direct. Otherwise, people don't get it, and they're like, "Oh, well, it's fine." And I think I make great music already, so he doesn't really matter what his opinion was. No, that's not how it goes.
And I'd rather hear it from you than a label just saying, "No, we're not going to take it. See ya."
Exactly. So let me tell you why it's an issue, or why something is wrong. But anyways, yeah. But I started out making a bunch of like Christian EDM stuff, and it was kind of just like weird, but it was really crappy. Never got on any labels or anything. And then what was the track that I did that ended up just doing well? Oh, you know what got me somewhere was Electrostep Network.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, way back when
when SoundCloud was popping.
Oh, it was insane.
It's insane.
I would put out a track there and I'd get 200,000 plays when I only had like 10,000 followers. It was insane. So, anyways, that built the crap out of my following really fast. And anyways, yeah, I got that connection, and once I released one track with him and it did really well, I forget what his name is, but the owner of it, he wanted to keep doing stuff with me, and it wasn't like a huge label at the time or anything. It was just kind of like he was just putting out music, and I didn't even know what monetization was. So I mean, I think he was just racking in mad money from all that, and that's fine. Whatever, I'm not pissed about it anymore. But I think he was just pulling in all that money, and it was fine. And then we put out probably 20 tunes together on Electrostep Network. And
it's like 2 albums, album and a half.
Yeah. And that really did well for me. And then the first people to play out one of my tracks was Adventure Club, and I was like, wait, what the fuck? They actually like that.
Oh shit.
So
yeah.
Anyways, so they played that. I think it was at Sunset, actually.
Early days of Sunset, right? Had to be.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe it wasn't.
Like 2015, like 2014, 2015. Yeah.
Real early. But anyways, yeah, and and the cool thing is, circling back to having connections with people and talking to people like artist wise, they really liked my music. They're the first artist that I ever met. They had ended up messaging me asking me for more music, and so I sent them everything I had, and they really liked all of it. It was so shit. It was so fucking bad back then. It was insane. Like none of it sounded good. But anyways, so I sent them it all, and then I guess they were playing it, and then they ended up wanting to meet up with me at a Resolution in Seattle.
Okay.
Or I think that's the New Year's Eve party.
Yeah.
Anyways, and I ended up meeting up with them, and me and my girlfriend at the time hung out with them, and then we went to the next day they had another show at Foundation, which got shut down. But anyways, yeah, and we went there and hung out with them and had more of like an intimate conversation because he was in the green room at that time. But anyways, yeah, they ended up connecting me to management, their management. Oh, wow. They wanted me to be with their management, so I was like, okay, fuck, so. But anyways,
got serious real quick. That goes from 0 to 100 real quick. Yeah.
So that shit is what that one connection developed my entire career. So like that's from there. It's a long story from there, but I mean, that was basically the breaking point. And that's the cool thing is that I tell anybody who's a musician, if you make good music, it doesn't matter how many plays you have. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. If you make good music, you will be acknowledged. That's all. So all you have to do is focus on making really good music. You don't need to really focus on everything else. I mean, yes, their promotion is obviously nice and all that different shit, and you can pay for that. You can do like hype edit and different things. You can pay $50 and reach like 20,000 people. That's fucking easy. But like, and as you do that more, it's definitely gonna build you quicker. But if you I never sent any of my music out to artists. I never did any of that shit. I was literally just hanging out making music all day, every day, back when I was like 16 or 17, I think it was around that time. And, I just was having a good time, and that's it. And just put out music and whatever. And I had no plans really. And, and somehow people liked it. And then obviously it developed into what I am now. And that's like, it's simple as that. It's just about making good music. I didn't think it was good music back then, but it's just, that's the only thing I can ever tell anybody, it's just, and Martin Garrix says that, like so many other artists have said that, if you make good music, you'll be heard. That's all it is, so.
I think some people need to remember that sometimes, including myself, because there's just, in like the age we live in now, there's like a lot of pressure to have the priority on a lot of things equally. And at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we do see people who slip through the cracks, whether they're industry, whether they know somebody, X, Y, and Z. That's always going to happen no matter what genre, what field you're in. But if the music isn't there and you're not hugely connected to someone, like it probably won't happen. Cause like I see people like with these huge social media followings, like massive, whether they're bought or not, I don't know. I don't care. Everybody's like on their own prerogative, but and then you listen to the music and it's like you kind of connect the dots where it's hard now because there's so many trends and there's so many people wanting to do this and there's so many people putting out tracks that sound exactly the same to everybody else. Like it is a difficult thing to overcome, but you can see like the transparency when something just like isn't working or they haven't spent enough time working on the thing that they're supposed to be, quote unquote,
Yeah. And that's what sucks with social media is such a, that'll even book you for shows. Even if you have shit music, they know that they know that you, because you have such a big following, because you have such good interaction, you'll be able to pull a fan base, even if your music isn't very good, just because they want to see you,
yeah. And that happens a lot. Crazy.
It does. It happens a shit ton.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. But yeah, that's why I make so many different genres, because I'm all about, like I was saying, like if you just make good music, you'll be heard. But that's kind of been the whole like basis of my entire career. I just want to make good music. Don't give a fuck what genre it is, as long as it's EDM, whatever, and even not. If you make good music, it's just gonna be heard, and then that's like thing I've been just, it's been in my mind for the longest time, for 10 years, and it's just that's why I don't put myself in a box anymore, really, and I'm just kind of like doing what I want, and
yes,
I feel like that's the way to do it. But also it's not that's why I stay away from most social media, kind of like I just want people to appreciate my music. I don't really even care if I have a fan base. I make all the music for me, just like you make music for you. You enjoy doing it. It's a empowering feeling knowing that you can move a crowd with something that you created. It's great. But I I couldn't care. I love all my fans, but I couldn't care less if I had any. I just want to make good music and have something that's memorable in the world, for in eternity, honestly.
Yeah. And that there is like, is I feel like the way that everybody should feel. And just sometimes, life happens and you have to focus on other things. But at the end of the day, too, kind of like a full circle to what kind of happened with your Twitter account. It's like all of this shit is like temporary, but like the art that you put out, like they're not going to take it. They're not going to wipe it from every platform. They're not going to take, like that shit's going to be there forever. And that's why when I have discussions with people who are either in my position, lower than my position, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like shows are great, but the only way that you're going to retain anything from a show on an average basis is if they have something to hold on to when they leave. And it's like, that's like them being able to say, oh, like, cause we work in like the genre where, the crowd's fucked up. Some of them don't care who you are. Some of them know who you are and they're there for you. And like, when you really go down to the percentage of people who are walking out of a club at 3 a.m. who are saying, wow, that guy knocked my socks off, or wow, he played support. I got to know who he is. I got to see who he is. And then they look up your SoundCloud and you have nothing. then you lost them. You know,
Right.
you Spotify, you don't have anything. You have 2 tracks out. You lost them. So it's like, I feel like you have to make a decision when you want to be in this career path. If you like want to kind of like build a house of bricks, or you want to build it of straw. And that's okay to do both. It's okay to want to be thrown on the touring circuit for 3-4 years and then be done. But if you want to do it long term, like, you have to build your discography, and you have to experiment, and you have to like take the time to focus on the quality of music that you're putting out, because, you know, it's just a part of our industry. But you see people who are on these huge tours and these huge touring circuits, and people aren't listening to their music because they're not putting out their music because it's something that, you know, I'm sure they care about it. All art is like biased, but you can tell when a person has like real listeners, like people who are going back and listening to the music, opposed to, oh, well, I'm touring, so I feel the need to put out music. And they just put out tracks. They don't put out like, and it's okay to put out tracks. It's okay to put out bangers, but it's like, if it sounds indifferent or the same as everything else I'm hearing, and there's nothing for me to physically attach myself to it, I'm not going to go back and listen to it. I'm going to have a listen through it once, and that's going to be it. I'm not going to save it to my library. I'm going to say, cool, that if I heard it and I was in a pit, probably would mosh to it. That'd be it. And there's a lot of different paths that you can take, but it's like to each their own. Everyone has to make the decision for themselves of like what they want their project to become.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I really think that Enzo is a good example. I've been noticing. He's
so good.
Yeah, he's I've been talking to him quite a bit. We have a collab actually.
Oh, no way. That's
but anyways, yeah, I feel like he has like really true listeners. I feel like people, I mean, obviously he's like selling out in a lot of places too, but like I feel like people definitely will listen to his music consistently.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, it's also a more listenable style of EDM. I feel like it's more groovy, or, you know, it's more something like I can handle it, I guess. If I'm not trying to rage, you know, I can still kind of like, you know, vibe with it. It's also pretty, you know, like, I don't know. I would listen to that while I'm working on, or like while I'm doing something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's kind of harder for me to do that with like heavier dubstep. But yeah, I feel like he has really good listeners.
Yeah. And that's where you see the outliers, you know, like that's where you see the people where like he's on a shit ton of lineups, but like he's not a bass artist. Like he's not, you know, like he's doing his own thing. Like I look at like Lewis the Child that way. You look like all the way up the hill. It's like I look at like Porter that way. I look at Maddie that way. I look at Flume that way. Like all of the guys who kind of just stuck to doing their own thing. If people fuck with it, like it eventually grows. You just have to stay like true to yourself. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely a interesting, but it's an interesting thing, but it's a very long process to be able to build any career. It's not going to be short, you know. Anything you're going to master, I mean, you're going to have to put in thousands of hours, like you said, and, you know, you really gotta like dedicate.
Yeah.
Heavily.
And I'm like,
that's the biggest thing.
Yes, I'm an impatient motherfucker, and like I went through a phase where now I'm in a much better place, but I see it all the time too in really new artists where they want everything now, and they want it here, and they want it now, and they want to grow, and they want to improve their craft, and they want to play shows, and sometimes it happens, but majority of the time you just have to like swallow your pride and like put your head down and like work, and just the things will come if your art is good. Exactly what you just said. Because it takes one person. It really does. It takes one person or one team to take an interest in you and what you're doing, and they can help. If they really want to help you and believe in you, they can help. Like your experience and situation with Adventure Club is the perfect epitome of things that I still see happen today. That still happens to people today, where Zed's Dead discovers them and they've got less than 1,000 followers on everything, but they make killer drum and bass. Hey man, come play our Deadbeat shows.
What, like, is that Urban Dawn? Is that who you're talking about?
What?
You're talking about Urban Dawn?
No. I was thinking of like Camarion, but who's
right,
like,
yeah.
he's like fire too. But like when he was coming up, like he had like releases, a lot of releases on like, I think it's Jadu Dala is the label or
Dude, I don't
something
know
like
how
that.
the fuck to say any of those.
I don't know how to say any of them. But then like he got, so he just got some traction behind him and he makes killer music. So it's like people were about it, like big artists were about it. And that's where we're at right now, where I either feel like you're on like the agency track and you're just exchanged and you're in the touring circuit and that's where you are, or you're like a kick-ass artist and like you just have to keep working and like somebody will take notice if your art's good.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's fucking about it. Is there, before I leave you, is there anything you kind of want to, I know right now you're in that transitional phase, you're working on new stuff. Is there anything that we should look out? Any new shows coming up? Anything like that?
As of right now, I've actually kind of stepped back from the shows, right? So
chilling. Okay.
Don't really got a lot going on there, but I did just put out my Backwoods set on SoundCloud. Sweet. And then music wise, this is probably not what I'm supposed to be telling people, but like I really don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do.
That's okay.
I mean, I'm trying to figure it out because different style. I put out that, I don't know if you heard that Cardi B remix that I put out, but that was kind of wonky.
Yes.
And that was like, I was trying to like kind of introduce that a little bit through that. So I don't really know. I'm trying to figure out release dates. I'm still trying to figure out my label situations right now. But the thing is, even once you sign a track to a label, I mean, it's probably going to be 2 to 7 months, honestly.
Yep.
To even get something out.
Yep.
So it's very rare that it's within a month. So, that's just the reality. I'm probably gonna be self-releasing a couple tracks here. I try to put out something each month. So like, I'll probably put out that house album. I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Fire.
I don't know how to like even put out a house album right now when I'm trying to like change my style. Like I have all this music. Should I just sell it?
No, you shouldn't sell it. It's just time. But like it takes a lot of guts to like make a change. Like people go through their whole career and don't ever put out something that doesn't sound like their first track. So, it's good to make that growth. And I think we're in a time where people are hopefully becoming more accepting of the change and of people not sticking in the box. It's what I see a lot more in the up and coming artists and people at like my level is people are just throwing out different genre tracks. They're doing a deep house track. They're doing a dubstep track. They're doing something like that. And that's the only way in my mind that you can like protect yourself as an artist, because like you never know when a trend's going to die. Like you never know when something's going to happen. So, I'm sure your fans are patiently awaiting. They're patiently awaiting the music, and it'll be good. It'll be cool.
Yeah, I've been talking about that house album putting out. Well, my first O2 EP that was almost 2.5 years ago now. So like, and that did really well. So people have been waiting for new house for me for quite a while. But the house that I'm gonna be putting out is just a tad different than that. So
cool.
It's more tech.
That's the vibe right now. That's the vibe. Yeah. Everybody loves some good tech house, but I greatly appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. Enjoyed the conversation, and I'll make sure to link that Backwoods set. And, huge congrats to you and your fiance. Holy shit, puppy baby. It's coming. It's coming. Yeah. Congrats on the house.
Things going on.
Yeah. But it'll be, it'll be good. Life happens. Like people get like way too wrapped up in the scene sometimes, and they don't realize that like what we do is not really reality. and like a realistic
Right.
take on how like life normally operates. So it's cool to make that transition when you realize like, hey, like I should, have this like life on the other side. that is important. But yeah, dude, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. I'm gonna stop recording.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the XO podcast. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you that are return listeners and viewers. It means the world to me. And do not forget to check out my Patreon at www.patreon.com/thisisLizzyJane for a first opportunity to hear these podcasts ad-free. Give us some input who you want to see on the podcast, ask questions, one-on-one lessons, group lessons, live streams, and so much more. This is Lizzy Jane, and I'll see you next week for another episode of the XO Podcast.